G'day from South Australia. I wanted to take this moment to tell you about a fairly powerful experience that happened to me. I think it was either 1995 or 1996 when I was in Bible college. And it's a story of God's supernatural provision. And this may help any of you who are struggling with finances at the moment, trusting in God, waiting for Him. Or actually, perhaps you're not even waiting for Him. Perhaps you're just destitute and struggling and you need help from Him. I can tell you this is a true story from my past. I decided that I'd go to Bible college to learn a bit more about the Bible and hopefully to learn a bit more about God. So there was 2 years of Bible college. There was a first year, a certificate level, and then a second year, which was diploma level. And I actually don't remember which of these years this particular return on investment, we'll call it, of 100,000% actually occurred. But it's a true story, and I want to encourage you to look to God for His provision. And I'd love to hear if any of you are moved by the story and perhaps put your faith in God, and that He answers your prayers because He knows everything about you. I've said this to many people before. He knows what you're thinking before you think it, the Bible says. He knows your blood pressure at the moment. He knows your white blood cell count. He knows your weight. He knows your stomach contents. There's nothing about you or anyone on earth that He does not know. And my testimony in a moment will tell you about His knowledge of what you are doing and what you need. While I was in Bible college in the first or the second year, or in fact in both years, I was on a government subsidy that existed at the time in Australia called Austudy. And that was a provision that the government made for people to study various subjects. I chose to study the Bible. And we are thankful to God for the Australian government that we are allowed to study the Bible, and in this case I was paid a small amount of money per fortnight. The Austudy payment, though it wasn't a huge amount, was sufficient to allow me to pay my rent, to pay for electricity and the telephone. We didn't have mobile phones back then. This is around about 26, 27 years ago. And a small amount of food. And there were also times when food would be given to us by the Bible college, sometimes from local bread shops and all sorts of things like that. But suffice to say, it was enough to keep me going most of the time. But this one particular evening, I remember the fridge was looking quite empty, the cupboards were very bare, and I needed something to eat. I don't remember exactly what it was that I was wanting, but I remember that money was non-existent. So I went for a rummage through my flat unit, we called it then, and went through all the cupboard. The only thing I could find was a single 5-cent piece. And I remember picking this 5-cent piece up and looking at it and thinking, Lord, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with 5 cents? Even then, say 26, 27 years ago, what was 5 cents going to buy me? So the unit that I was living in was actually one of two, and then there were some empty blocks of land owned by the same landlord alongside of me all the way down to his house, which was about 500 meters away. So I went out on the front lawn of this house and I threw this 5-cent piece into the empty block next door, thinking, this 5 cents, I can't do anything with it, I'm just going to throw it away. And all the while was speaking to the Lord about my need. So I went back inside. I don't know what I decided to do. I don't actually remember. Perhaps I was just going to manage until the next day at Bible college or whatever. But to my surprise, around about half an hour or so, there was at the door. And there was a guy in our home fellowship group. His name was Tim. And I hope, Tim, if you're still around, I hope that you might actually watch this video one day. You will know who you are. And Tim was a very conservative young man who loved God, absolutely loved God. And Tim put his hand out to me and shook my hand and then said to me, "Steve, I was driving nearby and I really felt like the Lord asked me to give you this." And he put his hand forward again, this time with a $50 note in it. Now, $50 today is actually not very much money, but 26, 27 years ago, $50 was probably enough to buy a week's worth of groceries. But you can imagine my surprise when I saw this green and gold $50 note being handed to me after, maybe half an hour after me having thrown 5 cents away. And so I did a calculation the other day in preparation for this video. And do you know that 5 cents being replaced with a $50 note is 100,000% return on what was the loss of the 5 cents that I threw into that vacant paddock next door? So I want you to know that the God who made the sun, the moon and the stars and all the earth and you is not broke. He's not going through any financial crises at all, never has and never will do. And the Bible says that he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. And he also tells us very clearly through the Bible that he knows you and that he cares about you. He's called the shepherd. He's called the great shepherd. And so I would encourage you, if this video has come at a time when you are stretched, seek him. Seek him. And there's no formula to this. There's no particular religious words, but call upon the God, the maker of the sun, the moon and the stars, in the name of his son, Jesus, and ask for his help and his provision, and he will come. He responds to faith. The Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please God. But all we have to do, the faith doesn't even have to be anything huge. The Bible also talks about faith as a mustard seed, a very, very tiny seed. So if you will have faith and you will call upon the name of the Lord and ask him for his help for you, he will hear and he will come to you. And I look forward to hearing comments below for those of you who have other testimonies of God's provision, which will encourage others, and also anyone who, after watching this video, does exercise faith and see God's return. Thank you so much.